everybody. Welcome to another edition of the MakeCode Arcade Advanced stream. I'm Richard Average on the MakeCode Forum.
I'm Joey at J1 on the MakeCode forums.
And I'm Thomas at Sparks on the MakeCode forums.
And what are we doing today? Well, I thought we would do something a little bit different today. Basically, I wanted to pitch some game ideas and get some feedback on them. This games that we might not necessarily do, but that I've been kicking around in my head for a very long time. And I thought it would be fun to just kind of go through them. And then, I don't know, maybe we'll still do some coding at the end of the stream. But for now, I want to do this. So, does that sound like fun to you guys?
Sure.
Yep.
All right, cool. Okay. So I've got my little whiteboard up here, and I've got my little drawing tablet, which I'm still awful at using. So these drawings are not going to look good. But we're going to start off with a game idea that I had in college. So I think you also took the game design class at the college that you and I both went to, right, Thomas?
I did. I pitched a game for it, made the game. Still one of the best games I ever made.
Nice. Yeah, I was too late on the day that we had to pitch games to pitch this game idea. So I ended up working on a different one, which is okay. But I've always had this game idea, and I always thought it was a good one. So I'm going to pitch it now. All right. So let me get off a little story beat. Okay. The year is 3000XX. All right. And hi, Def Non Creepy Doll. And 99% of the population now has their milk delivered via high technology automated milk transportation lines. Okay. So the milkman industry has just been disrupted. All right. There are no milkmen anymore. Instead, we have these just efficient rail systems that snake between cities and towns, carrying crates of milk to drop at people's doors. But what happens when that system goes down? Well, they have to get the last milkman out of retirement, and he has to get the milk to those people's doors in this game. All right?
All right.
Okay, so the idea with this game is it's a platformer. So let me just draw some platformer stuff. Got some ground, things to jump between. And kind of the thing that's going on with this game is there is a rail going through the levels. All right, like go up, go down. And then hanging from this rail is a crate of milk that you need to get to its destination. All right, you're a little, jumpy man. All right, so the idea is that this crate does not move on its own. You need to jump up and hit it, and then it will be pushed along the track. And while it's on the track, it'll be subject to physics and stuff. So if it's like on a slant, it'll slide back down. And I feel like you're trying to get it to whatever the end of the level is. And I think that there's a lot of fun stuff you can do with this concept. So just starting off, you can use the crate as a platform to get across certain parts, right? So imagine we have a gap. We have the milk crate that you could get into the center of it. You could jump onto the milk crate, jump over, and then somehow pull it back, pull it along to you to kind of continue the level. You can also use it to like attack in things or solve puzzles. So, there could be like a switch over here that needs to be hit with the milk crate while you are hitting a switch over here. And then you hit the milk crate over there, then you hit this switch, door opens, keep going. And the actual physics of interacting with this milk crate is you have a guy who can jump and punch. And when you punch, it just kind of gives it a burst of speed that kind of sends it, flying in whatever direction it is you punch it in. There could be like walls that are there that are like, have like cracks in them. And then to break through them, you have to send the milk crate flying through it so that it just kind of like breaks it down and blows it up. You can have different switchbacks in the rail, it could be like the rail ends at one point and then continues down here, and you have the crate drop down. Or there could be a switch that's like this, like an old railroad, and you could end up switching between like this, and then you hit the switch and then it connects up here instead. So you have to like go down here, solve a puzzle, hit the switch, move back up, push it over, and then keep going. Anyway, thoughts? What do you guys think about this?
I mean, seems like lots of fun. Though I don't want to have to be the one programming those rail physics, but it's just like fun.
Yeah, I don't think it's that bad actually, but I agree. Let's see. Def Not Creepy Doll says, this sounds epic with a K. It would be cool if the milkman is just super buff and has a bunch of scars. You're reading my mind, Def Not Creepy Doll. Yes, this guy is gonna be like an action hero trope of, someone who has to come out of retirement. He's gonna be a silent protagonist, of course. But he has just kind of like, just a real gruff, big gray beard, ready to get things done the old-fashioned way. And then I also, somewhere I have a text document where I came up with a ton of pun names for various villains that could be throughout the game. I don't remember all of them, or any of them actually, but I remember being very pleased with myself. It's pretty easy to make milk puns. All right, so anyway, that's game idea number one. Okay, I'm gonna call this Milkman game. All right. Next up, let's do another one. Okay. So this is based off of a game called Sin and Punishment. And you go like, Sin and Punishment? That sounds like a really edgy game. It's not. So fun fact about this game, this was a Japanese exclusive release for the N64. And they named it Sin and Punishment because the guy from Nintendo who was in charge of the like Nintendo side of things, this was a Treasure game. So if you've ever heard of Treasure, they were a Japanese game studio that kind of has a cult following. They make a lot of action and arcade games. Like they made Ikaruga, and this is another one, big one, Sin and Punishment, and Radiant Silvergun, and a bunch of like shooter and action games that Gunbuster that have a really big like cult following. So the guy, the Nintendo exec who was like assigned to this project, had heard about a game that had the name Red and Black, and he's like, oh, kanji and kanji. That's a cool way to name a game. Wow, I really wish that this game that I'm working on had a name like that. And so he came up with the name Sin and Punishment. Treasure was like, this doesn't make any sense. Why are we naming it this? And they were like, all right, but we're going to pick our battles. We'll let it go through, named Sin and Punishment. And there you go. So it sounds much more hardcore than it is. But the way this game works is it's a 3D on-rail shooter, okay? So you've got the ground, and then you've got your character right here. And they have basically platformer controls. But the way that you're actually like shooting things is you have a little reticle, which, where's my mouse? The mouse is glitching out. Like this, that you move around with the joystick on the screen. And then you have enemies that are showing up like up here, like all around. And the idea is you need to move this reticle around and shoot these enemies. Meanwhile, while this is happening, you have various enemies coming at you and obstacles you have to avoid on the ground. So you can't really move your player except in this like 2D way. Okay, so you can move left and right and you can jump. But you're not moving through a level. What's actually happening is you're automatically moving through the level, and as you do, enemies are appearing, and you shoot those with your reticle. Meanwhile, you have to kind of guard and dodge your character. So, man, I wish the mouse was working correctly. Let me refresh. Give me a sec. Okay, I see it again. Yeah, there we go. So as you're going, there might be an obstacle that comes in, and you have to jump over it, or you might have an enemy kind of coming in from like the side that you need to attack. And then your character also has a little parry attack they can do, where some things like missiles and stuff you can parry, and then it reflects them back at whoever shot them at you for big damage. Okay, so that's the basic idea. So I thought it would be really fun to do an arcade version of this, which is, so obviously we have fewer controls than was available in this game. So this game was made for the N64, and the N64, unlike modern game consoles, only has one joystick. So they have one joystick which they use for moving this targeting thing around, right? So the joystick is completely used by moving this reticle around on the screen. And then for moving your player around, if we look up the N64 controller real quick, well, no, it's not the weirdest controller ever. That still goes to the Dreamcast. Second weirdest controller ever. It has these C buttons over here. So the idea was you can move or use the D-pad. So you can move the reticle with the joystick, you move your character using the D-pad, and you jump with the D-pad. All right. I gotta say, once you get this down, it's easy. But the first like 2 times I played this game, my brain was just like, I cannot handle this. Trying to figure it out. Okay, but anyway, this is a lot more buttons than we have in arcade. And arcade obviously does not have a joystick. So I was thinking that it would be fun to do kind of a simplified version of this. So the idea would be that we get rid of this reticle. So get rid of that. Can I pan? How do I pan? Yeah, there we go. Pan over. All right. So we're going to instead just have a character who is constantly firing upwards. You know? But you are automatically moving through a level. And as you move through this level, you have, things that you have to jump over or stuff like that. So you're using the joystick to move left and right. You're always automatically firing upwards, but it's got kind of like platformer controls, so you can still kind of like jump up and over, but you're not really moving through the level. You're kind of just reacting to things as they happen to you. So it's still on rails, more or less. You are completely boxed into the current screen, and you have no control over like moving in this direction or moving in this direction. You're really just kind of doing that. Alternatively, it could be that we do control the reticle, which is kind of fun. But instead, all you can do to control your character is jump and then also use the B button to parry. So if like an enemy is coming in this way, you do your little melee attack and it just obliterates them. Boom. The idea. So it's kind of like a twist on the classic shmup type game where you have a ton of bullets and things coming down at you, but you also have to kind of keep in your head at the same time this other layer of gameplay, which is maneuvering your character down here and it being subject to the same platformer type stuff that you're normally doing. I don't think anyone's ever really done this except in Sin and Punishment, but it works really well in the game. Super fun. And so I think that it could be kind of a low spec version of Sin and Punishment. I think would work well on arcade. So.
Yeah, I like the idea of you could maybe controlling the reticle, but only being able to sort of jump with your character, and you just gotta kind of keep an eye on that as well as shooting at all the enemies and everything. That could be fun.
If we did it as a keyboard and mouse game also, we could actually, because in beta we have keyboard mouse support, we could make it so that you have the full Sin and Punishment thing going on. You move your character around and then you use the mouse to actually do the targeting. That would be pretty cool. So yeah. All right. Well, anyway, this is idea number 2. We're going to call this Sun and punishment. Obviously.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. Idea number 3. All right. Well, also, I guess I should ask: do you guys have any game ideas that you bounced around? They do not need to be fleshed out at all. Just anything that you've kind of thought about over the years that seemed like a good idea to you.
Not for arcade specifically. I have to go back to my old college notebook, see what's in there.
What was the game you ended up making for your game dev class? If you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, that could be a fun arcade one. So that one, it was really simple. It's kind of like an endless runner, where you're just constantly moving to the right, jumping up and down onto platforms. But the idea was your speed decreased over time, and you had to pick up, you were a robot, you had to pick up batteries to go faster. But you couldn't, if you went too fast, there was a wall you'd hit. And if you went too slow, there was a wall you'd hit. So you were just in this little endless runner, jumping between different layers of platforms, trying to pick up and or avoid batteries to keep your speed at the right level.
Was this an endless runner in like the Cannonball way or in the Temple Run way? So Cannonball, classic game, you run between buildings, you're constantly moving to the right, you press A to jump. Yeah. Or there's the Temple Run, where you're moving head on.
It was Cannonball kind of way where you're, but simpler. This one, it really was just side-scrolling, 2D jumping, and then there were like 3 kind of layers where platforms could appear and gaps.
Gotcha.
So it's very straightforward. And then over time, you had to get faster. So generally, it was getting faster, but you couldn't go too fast. Yeah, it was called Charge. It was great. It's a good game.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. And I think that would be really easy to do in arcade. We could totally make that happen.
Yeah. The other game that I made in college that was a lot of fun, I say I made, these were made with teams. So it wasn't all me, but could also be done in arcade very easily, was just you were a little character that, it was a multiplayer game. You moved around on the screen and the camera would follow one person and you would hit that person to steal the camera from them. And the idea was if you went out of the viewport, you died. And it was just
a
King of the Hill kind of game of stealing the camera and trying to stay in the view and everything. That one would be pretty easy to do in arcade too, I think.
Yeah, it would definitely.
But it is kind of fast-paced multiplayer, which we could maybe do with a little improvement on that.
Our online multiplayer is not the greatest for twitchy games, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unless you're player 1, then you have a great time.
Yep. But those were my 2. I've made a lot of games in college. Those were 2 of my favorites.
Cool. Okay, game idea number 3. Now this one, I have the basic gameplay mechanic that I want this to play on, but I haven't totally fleshed it out. It's more complicated than the other ones. All right, so the idea is that I'm a big fan, I think Joey knows this about me, of tactics games. All right, you name a tactics game, there is a pretty good chance I played it. I seek them out and I play all of them. So my favorite is, of course, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, and I will hear no besmirching of that perfect game. So these games typically work with a grid, right? So you have a whoops. See, I need to remember how I mapped these buttons. One of these buttons is straight line. There it is. Okay. So you have a grid that you move characters between. And then with the version that I'm talking about, typically you have a character and that character can move, say, 3 spaces. All right. They have a move stat that kind of controls how far they can go on their turn. And, you know, there'll be obstacles, like maybe you can't go through this square. And then when it's your character's turn, like your character over here, then they can move, like, say they can move 3 spaces. So they can move like this, you know, then you move over here, you do an attack, you can attack, you have some amount of attack radius. And it's a pretty simple version of tactics games, but one that I really, really like. And if we ever want to do a stream where all I do is talk about all of the various tactics franchises I have played and ranking all of them, I would enjoy that. I don't think anyone else would, but I would enjoy that. All right. So anyway, I've always wanted to make one of these. Problem being is that they are very complicated. They aren't complicated necessarily when you're actually playing them, but there are a lot of systems that need to happen in order to make something like this playable. Okay. Because if you think about a normal turn-based RPG, this is basically a normal turn-based RPG, but you have all of the spatial stuff that you have to map. It becomes very difficult to talk about like how you actually frame these tactics things. So you can be a game like Advance Wars or Fire Emblem, which is doing a top-down grid. The ones I really like are all like isometric based. So I say that as if I don't really like Fire Emblem and stuff, but I do actually like Fire Emblem. But the idea being that you can actually have like different height and stuff for all of the tiles because you're doing this with this isometric viewpoint. So, you know, here's one tile, here's another tile, you can step up. And that's really cool. That's what you get in the Final Fantasy Tactics franchise. And also Tactics Ogre, Let Us Cling Together. So anyway, I wanted to do a simplified version of this, something that we could actually conceivably do in arcade. So I was trying to think of like what is interesting about these tactics games to me, and what could be done to just pare that down to the bare minimum while making a game. And so I think that, and also this is partly taking inspiration from a game that I'm playing right now, which is Valkyrie Profile 2 Silmeria, a game that I'm sure Joey and Thomas have played many hours in. Mm-hmm. It's definitely not a game that nobody remembers for the PlayStation 2. But
I think I played the PS3.
I don't think there was a Valkyrie Profile for the PS3.
What am I thinking of then? It was like a.
So I
no, this is a different. This is completely different. I was thinking of one where it's like you're in the military and it's like a.
Valkyria Chronicles is what you're thinking.
That's what I was thinking of. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, a game franchise I've never played, but I've heard is very good.
Yes, I mean it was very fun. Yes.
Yeah, Valkyrie Profile is not a tactics game. Okay, but Valkyrie Profile 2 Silmeria has kind of an interesting thing going on. So the way that Valkyrie Profile works is it is a turn-based RPG where you get into a battle with like an enemy, and then you're on this kind of like 2D plane. So you have your like 4 characters in your party over here, and then the enemy is over here. All right. And each of these guys is mapped to a button. So on PlayStation, you know, I'm doing these in a completely wrong order. What am I doing? Okay, so it's square, triangle, circle, X. So you have one button for each of your characters. When you press that button, the character comes over and attacks. And this enemy might get like, you know, like this guy might be a big sword dude, and he might hit the character, so it goes like up in the air. And then this guy might have an arrow attack, and the arrow attack might be more effective if it hits them in the air. And so you're kind of like juggling these guys between your characters, kind of trying to press the buttons such that you are making the most of getting the most hits on the character, which fills up a little combo meter that's shaped like a crescent moon. And if you fill up the combo meter, then you get to do like a super attack, which is called, it has a stupid name, but I'm completely blanking on it. Anyway. Not important. All right. So the reason that Valkyrie Profile Silmeria is cool is because when you get into a battle with a character, they still have this, but basically they have like this little overall thing. So you might have like your party being right here, all right? And then you might have some enemies being like over here and over here and over here. And you have a little gauge at the bottom of the screen, which is like how much move you got. All right. So as you move your character through the thing, this bar goes down. And then when you actually like get to a character, you can attack them, and then that triggers this little thing up here. All right. So when you battle or when you do stuff, you can have your bar be kind of replenished. All right. So I thought it would be fun to do something like this, not like this. I mean, this would be fun. This is a cool way to do battles. And in fact, there was a recent game by the guy who made Skullgirls, I think, that actually did a take on this, which was kind of cool. But anyway, I don't care about that. I thought it would be cool to have a little overworld game where the tactics part of it is you have a character, you have a distance you can move them, and then they have kind of like an attack radius. So if we have our character be right here, and then around the character is like a dotted line circle of a radius. And so the idea is that during your turn, you have a certain distance you can move your character. And then when you do, whenever you stop, it automatically takes an action depending on like where you have stopped. So you move your character over here. If there's like one enemy, then it'll do like, the attack it does when there's one enemy. Or if there's like two enemies, it'll do like the attack it does when there's two enemies. And so you still have kind of like the fun tactics thing, which is like having to decide where to send your units and make tactical decisions like that. But the actual attacking and mechanics of that is all kind of handled for you. So all you're really doing is moving your character, stopping, battle resolves, going on to the next character, and then just kind of keep moving like that. So you would have like a bunch of party members that you're doing with all of this. And in the meantime, the enemies would also do the same thing. They would just move and stuff like that. So there would be no grid in this game. More like a tactics game like XCOM, which I think, or the sillier spin-off of it, the Mario and Rabbids games, which actually have the same kind of thing where you can just kind of move wherever. There's no grid, but instead
also surprisingly good
gauge thing going on. Yeah, I can't get past the Rabbids. I just hate those guys. They're super annoying. They're so annoying.
I mean, that part is obviously annoying, but like the game, like if you like the characters, if anybody likes the characters, I don't actually know if anybody likes the characters, then it's good.
Yeah. Okay, so the fun of this is in part the tactics, but also the thing that I love the most about tactics games is building your characters. All right. So, the actual tactics gameplay is fun, but more fun is like equipping your character with a bunch of cool abilities that then you feel like you're the cleverest person in the world because you've made them super powerful because they all have like, different abilities that make them super useful in different situations. So I would want to do that. But again, I want it to be simple. So there would be like you would basically have slots on your character. Like you would have an attack 1, attack 2, a guard, and like a reaction or like a support or something. So the idea being attack 1, attack 2, this is what happens when you actually get in range of some folks. This is what would end up triggering. Guard would be if you like don't get in front of any enemies. Reaction would be if the enemy attacks you, and then support would just be passive stuff that like helps you out. Like one support ability could be like move plus, where like if you did this on the previous turn, then when you're moving this time, you can move extra far. Blah 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 blah. Get the idea. So anyway, I tried to like boil these mechanics down into what would be like the what is something we could reasonably do on stream. And I don't know if this quite gets there. There's still some like work to do with this, but yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think about this one?
I like it. It seems fun. I don't know about how much we'll do on stream, but I mean, we could also combine it with Hackathon this week and get jump started.
We could, true.
Right. So then it would be like partially on stream and then partially behind the scenes.
I'm gonna
It
call
would be fun.
I'm gonna call this one Easy Tactics. All right. And that's it. That's it for my game ideas. Those were the three I had.
Def Not a Creepy Doll said an idea of a game about making food to deal attacks to enemies.
That's kind of fun. So I feel like there are a lot of games that are RPGs that take like classic gameplay mechanics and then map them onto like battle mechanics. And a lot of them are pretty fun. So an example of that I can think of is the one that a game I've never played, but I've referenced many times on stream now. The Game Boy game, The Legend of the River King, which is you are a fisherman and your battles, such as they are you trying to reel in fish. And you basically build up stats to make that, better for you.
It does seem fun.
But yeah, also in college, I had an idea of doing a tactics game that was going to be all food based. So the idea being that you had you had like a tactics board, and then you had two teams, like a team A, team B, and you could each turn like launch new characters that would then come down. I think I'm basically describing StarCraft, but it wouldn't be an RTS.
Mhm.
That you could then like actually go and battle each other with. But I was like, do I really want to play this game? And my ultimate decision was no. So
Did you ever have a StarCraft phase?
no, I've never played StarCraft.
I've played one game of it.
Trying to think of what. Yeah, go ahead.
Weirdly got into StarCraft 2 for a while, but only the single player. I didn't like the multiplayer because I was bad at it.
Oh no, I know a lot of people who just like the single player StarCraft.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean I know StarCraft is a great game. I know a lot of folks, mainly my brother, who really, really like it. The only RTS games I think I've ever actually played are Unicorn Overlord and 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim, both by the same developer, Vanillaware.
Nice.
I'm trying to think of another one, but that's all I got.
I got really into Rise of Nations back in like middle school, whatever that was. Yeah, it was a big one for me.
And then I know a lot.
Does Total War count? It's RTS.
I don't actually know what Total War is.
It's you have it's turn-based action, so it's not RTS, but then it has like RTS sections. It's hard to explain. Like you instance into a little individual battle. Very fun one. Warhammer.
Command and Conquer is also an RTS, right?
Sounds right.
I knew a lot of people who were obsessed with that game. That is a game I have never played also. So. All right. Anyway, this has been my my Shark Tank portion of the stream. So Joey or Thomas, what's your offer? How much are you gonna give me for a stake in my game development company?
I'd give you 3 live streams for Milkman, maybe.
Okay.
I'll give you 1 shiny quarter onto your account.
Hey.
Why is it? Why are they still using the same dumb? Okay.
Yeah, Twitch just catches them now though.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Just out of curiosity, Thomas, was the Milkman one the one you're the most interested in of the 3?
It's the one that I personally would like to play the most, though. The mechanics are probably the most straight or most like commonly done, I guess, of all of them, because it's basically a platformer. But it is a cool platformer. It's got a cool twist.
All right. Well, okay. Let's go and talk about a random other thing that I have. Okay, so this is a pitch that I don't know if I've ever actually delivered, but I wanted to make a different version of Arcade, and I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on it. So I've named this MakeCode, which is not, this was before Eric and Tom and everybody had made their own MakeCode version of Kodu. So it's a little bit.
I was gonna say I thought that they exactly made MakeCode before.
They did, yes. I came up with this before that, so
Okay.
I think they owe me money. But
yeah.
The idea was I wanted to make something that is a super simplified version of Arcade that has like puts the assets of the game at the same level as the actual coding of the game, right? So right now, Arcade is definitely code first, and then you have all these tile maps and stuff that you kind of reference through code that you then execute, which is kind of like I'm very comfortable with that programming model, but I feel like it's a lot for kids to be kind of dropped into. Whereas Kodu, if you've never seen Kodu, Kodu was a thing that was done a long time ago by Microsoft and by one of the members of the MakeCode team, where it's an Xbox game where you can make your own game by moving a character around, kind of interacting with things in the world, and then giving them all different behaviors. So anyway, I wanted to do something kind of in that vein. And the way this works is we have the editor divided into 3 parts: world, draw, and code. All right. So the idea with world is you have a bunch of different tile maps, right? That you can kind of go between. These are all scenes. You can think of them as all different games. All right. And when you click on one of them, you jump on over to the tile map editor. So this is a tile map editor. You can draw your tile map. You can put in your sprites and stuff. And you kind of have these tiles, walls, objects, triggers in here that are all different things that you can just like drop onto the map, basically. All right. When you click on one of these guys, you can then give them code. So kind of like Scratch or Kodu, you get a little code thing up here, and this is the behavior for that character, right? So I've kind of divided it into little chunks here. So it's in one column. It's not kind of free scrolling like Blockly normally is. And this would be like a, on button pressed and then move character, stuff like that. And then you can press plus behavior and kind of like add more little events for them to respond to. And then also, you have the stuff you expect, like also tiles that you can put down for putting down tiles, or you can edit a tile. You have the little sprite editor down here, name M4, whatever, I don't care. And then something else, I don't know. And then I noticed that I wrote here, I have no ideas for mobile. So no mobile ideas for this one. But yeah, so what I like about this is it's definitely simpler to get started. What I don't like about this is I think I basically ended up creating a lot of the recreating a lot of the existing like game scripting environments for like Unity and stuff, which I don't like.
Yeah, it reminds me of Game Maker, which is what I learned on, where you're kind of giving assets code rather than the other way around. But
yeah,
what don't you like about that?
I think that what I don't like is that and this is not necessarily a direction you would have to take it in, but a lot of these gameplay environments end up having a block that is like add platformer behavior to a sprite. And then it has some drop downs that you can kind of do, like this is the gravity, stuff like that. But I think that takes away a lot of the creativity and a lot of the I think that it ends up being that you end up making sample games that just use those blocks, and then no one learns to code because they're basically just declaratively declaring all of these sprites and then not giving them code associated with them, just instead using these inbuilt behaviors that kind of come with the environment. And there's nothing about this design that inherently leads you towards that, but it's what it reminds me of in things like Game Maker or other kind of bigger level things that I've seen on the internet. for that sort of thing. I don't really know what the way to guard against that is, but just being principled and block designed.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's important to still be low level with the code to a certain extent, because you want to make it so that you have to like understand the processes of the things you're laying out as you do it, instead of just kind of taking some canned stuff and just spewing it out. So I don't know. All right. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's go do some coding for the time we have left. Oh, we should go to beta. Oh, question. Did you, I know you bumped beta, Thomas.
I did. It should be, but I didn't. All I did was check in my fix and bump, so I didn't do anything else.
I'm gonna make sure I got the sim in there. Yeah, cool. Okay, so.
Oh, you can show off the thing you're trying to show on Monday?
Yeah, theoretically, hopefully. All right, so sorry this has been kind of a boring stream. We'll be back to normal coding on Monday, don't worry. On Friday, we are going to be doing the mini Game Jam games, so look forward to that. But for now, we're just kind of showing stuff off because I want to talk about game ideas. All right, cool. Okay, so we all know about the game Ask for String Block. How many arcade games have you played that have, at the beginning, what is your name? And then because you're just testing the game really quick, you just put in A and then click OK. And then throughout the rest of the game, it just describes you as A.
I'll have you know I put in AAA most of the time.
All right.
But yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a sign of adulthood that when I play video games now that have leaderboard inputs, I actually put in my initials and not just hit AAA like I did as a child, because I want to be proud of the work I did to get that high score.
As it should be, yes.
Okay, so one complaint that we got a lot from teachers was that in the browser, they expect to just be able to type the characters and have them come out here. So that is now an option. If you expand this block and then go ahead and choose Use System Keyboard and set that to be true, then you can see up here, it now says type your response using your keyboard. So I can type Jeffrey. And you can do this just like you would with any kind of keyboard inputs. You can use Shift and you can, go ahead and select some stuff. You can copy and paste all of that goodness and change it to be Joey. And then when you press Enter, there you go. We've now entered our string, Joey. So this also works with numbers. So if you want to do an ask for number, you can go ahead and hit the plus and choose Use System Keyboard True. And this will let you type a number. And this one will actually check the number as you're typing it. So like I can't put in 2 dots, just won't let me. Or like I can't do 2 negatives, or like put in 1, 2, and then type a negative. Doesn't work. So it all gets kind of validated. So type in whatever you want, hit Enter, and hopefully that'll make things a little bit easier. So we've talked about, we're still kind of debating whether or not to make this the default behavior or not. So, right now in beta, it's a thing you have to turn on. If you use this block on hardware and you have this turned on, by the way, it will just automatically switch back to the usual behavior. So your game won't be broken on hardware. But we didn't want to break existing games. So all existing games, which are not currently using this because it doesn't exist, will have the exact same behavior that they do now. So they will go to the normal system keyboard. But if you have your existing game, you can go in there, and this block will now have this field here, and you can go ahead and turn that to true, and it'll be updated. So yeah, anyway, have fun with that. So this is coming in addition to our keyboard browser events blocks, keyboard and mouse blocks. So you can now get the on mouse move and stuff like that, and on different keys pressed. So if you want to do a game that definitely will never work on hardware, this is how you do it.
Maybe we can. Maybe they'll make a keyboard for hardware. It can be like Engage, the phone. That was
Oh
the phone.
God. All right. Yeah. Let me look up. Let me treat everyone to a picture of the one of the craziest.
Or did that have a keyboard, or was it just this?
No, it just had this.
That just had that. I guess Sidekick is closer to what I was talking about than an
But I mean,
Engage.
you could do T9, right?
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay. All right. So next thing I wanted to show off. This does not have blocks yet, but with the browser events extension, something I added is there is now a real world time support. So you can now make a game that, say, you do something and then you want to you want things to pass in real time. So like, say you're making a gardening game and you want to make it so that even if they leave the page and come back, it will only have grown if a certain amount of time has passed. So you can now totally do that. So let's just go ahead and show this off real quick. I'm going to go ahead and do game.onShade so we can draw to the screen. And we're going to just do let time equal this. And then we're going to do time plus equals browser events dot get hours. Oh wait, first I have to do const time equals browser events dot get dot current time. And okay, we'll make this time string. And then you can put in the time right here. And we want to add a colon. And then we can do time string plus equals browser events dot get minutes time. And then time string plus equals browser events dot get seconds time. And then we can do screen dot print center time string 60. And we'll get a weird clock printed out. So there you go. The time where I am right now is 1:49 p.m. So you can see this is in 24-hour time, but we have 13:49:36. And if you want to make it, like I said, so if you want to do one of these asynchronous games, this is a request I've gotten a lot of times on the forum. This now exists. Right now, it's JavaScript only. I haven't decided if I want to make blocks for it or not. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should we make blocks for this?
I mean, somebody could always make an extension that makes blocks for it.
It's true.
With the dependency on this. Nice. I hope everybody will start making their own games with day-night cycles tied to the real ones, like in Hello Kitty Island Adventure, where it's every day night cycle is an hour.
That would be great. Yes. So in addition to getting the hours, minutes, seconds, by the way, you can also get the date, and you can also get the this is all in local time. So this will give you the time to whatever the computer that is running this game is. So, for me, it's Pacific Standard Time or Daylight Savings Time. I don't remember what we're in right now. All right. Is there anything else new I want to show off? I'm trying to think. There's no themes here yet, is there?
No, not yet.
Sad.
Soon, hopefully, end of the day today, there will be. But
yeah. Okay. Well, still, do you want to tease it for folks, Thomas?
I mean, yeah, there's going to be themes. Hopefully there'll be a dark theme and this theme you see before you now, and the classic orange theme.
Yeah. Are you gonna make a cotton candy theme?
You are empowered, Joey. You should feel empowered to make a cotton candy theme.
Does the theme change the simulator color by default?
No, it does not change the sim color.
Oh, that'd be
also
fun.
Doesn't change the blocks colors, but
yeah, the blocks do look kind of like neon bright in the dark theme, I've found, but
that's good.
One thing at a time.
So anyway,
Yeah.
all the people on the forum who just constantly use high contrast mode as a way of getting dark mode, you can finally use a proper dark mode that doesn't make everything look super terrible.
Huzzah.
Yep. So that'll be coming into beta, like Thomas said, the next couple days or so. Try it out, but like I said, if you're using beta, please do it in an incognito window and just like, don't make anything important in there. Just play around with it and leave, because we can't guarantee the stuff is going to keep working.
Yeah.
Especially since there's still some Blockly bugs that I'm working on. But, cool. All right. Is there anything else? I mean, we have a lot of other cool stuff coming in this release, but I mean, we've already shown off Time Machine a bunch of times, but we can show that off again real quick. So there's now version history for your projects. So this will automatically take snapshots of your project throughout time, and you can see that it hasn't been very long. So the only snapshot I have right now is between like today at 1:42 p.m. and now. But the idea is that you can go back in time. You can click restore, or you can save a copy to create a new version of your project. And this is just a nice way to keep track of like all of the old, all the things that you need to do for your, if you ever end up losing progress or something, you can just go back to an older version. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know why I'm completely losing my train of thought. So yeah, version history, that'll be cool. Oh, copy and paste. All right, so this is a cool thing. Okay, so for a long time, you have been able to copy and paste within a project, but you cannot copy and paste between projects. Well, I'm happy to say you now can. So I'm going to let me grab a piece of code that has some assets and stuff in it. There you go. This has this little bird and these variables and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this and switch on over to a new project, and then just drop this right in here. And whoa, all of my code is here, including my asset that I was working on. And now I have a game that just periodically launches birds. So you don't need to go to JavaScript and copy the text and then go to your new project and paste it there anymore. You can now just straight copy code. It will automatically copy, tile maps and sprites and all of those things too. So give that a shot. And also the copy and paste will work between different tabs and different versions of the editor also. So I will say the only thing that you have to be careful about is if you are copying and pasting code that has like from one project that has an extension to another project that doesn't have the extension, an error will pop up saying like, hey, just so you know, you're trying to paste this into a project that doesn't have the same extensions. This might break your project. So respect that error. Click no. But if you don't, hopefully you can recover with Time Machine if you end up messing stuff up. So yeah, that's cool. Let's see, what else? I think this is a tiny thing, but the home screen should now properly actually search for stuff. So if I do, okay, McDonald's Wi-Fi Simulator, which was a game that was made by Sarge, I think. You can see now that it's not just doing it based off of, well, this is actually in chronological order. Okay, what's something that I can search that will not be in chronological order? It's kind of hard to come up with.
Elastic collisions you were looking at a while back?
Sure.
Oh, maybe not.
Wait.
Auto and Ollie is a good one though.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, I logged out of my account, so.
Gotcha.
Okay, these are all from 2 years ago. Okay, well anyway, the thing is, it should now actually be sorted by how relevant the search results are, as opposed to before where it was just always sorted chronologically. If you want the old behavior, you can do. Oh, actually, this looks like you can't change it. But why would you want the old behavior? So there you go. All right. And then the last thing is, you may have noticed, you may not have noticed, the terrible font that we have had for Arcade for a long time is dead. I killed it. So we now have a nice, normal-looking font. It's not that ugly monospace font that makes everything hard to read and looks really bad. So yeah, look forward to that too.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's it. So there's going to be more new features and things being added. So look forward to that. But for now, those are the new things I have off the top of my head to show off. So thanks for tuning in. Remember, we have a mini game jam going on right now. If you submit a game before Friday, we'll play it on stream. It's cursed game, so if you want to, do a game that'll make me really frustrated, please do. It'll be fun. And then we'll be back hopefully to normal coding on Monday. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm Richard. Richard on the MakeCode forum.
I'm Jay Wonder on the MakeCode forum.
And I'm Thomas at Sparks on the MakeCode forum.
And we'll see you later. Bye.